In November 1974, something terrible shook the sleepy waterfront town of Amityville, New York.
This was a multiple murder, 6 bodies, 6 victims.
6 members of the DeFeo family shot dead in their home, only one left alive to tell the story of what happened. On the new podcast, Very Scary People, how a true crime story was transformed into a piece of horror history. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We'll be joined by Bleacher Report and elite prospects Abbey Mastrocco later. She'll be on doing Karl's stupid questions. But first, Karl, let's talk about Nick Backstrom. Let's talk about apples getting thrown on the ice and what might be the high point of the season for the Capitals the other night.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, everybody loves when Nick does something special. You know, it's nice when he reaches a milestone, and he had a pretty nice turnout of family and friends and stuff that were at the game. I know Mike Green was there too. Yep. And so it's nice to see, some of the old crew, the old band get back together, I guess you could say. And yeah, have him reach something. Cause as we've talked about many times, he's there's Patrick Kane and there's Sidney Crosby and other guys that can make these plays and pass the puck better than Nick Backstrom. But I tend to disagree with that. So yeah, it was a highlight. It was a kind of a fun. It's almost like when the Rats get thrown on in Florida. It's kind of something different and fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there. I thought about it, but timing just didn't really work out for us. So I didn't go, but you were there, right?
How far can you throw an apple? Like how far would you be able to throw one of those squishy apples?
Probably over top of the mountains that I can see right here. I have no idea. Honestly.
Are you in Vancouver right now?
No. We're still in DC. I was just making a silly Napoleon Dynamite reference, but I don't know. I don't know how far I could throw one of those things, but I'm sure people are probably launching them back and forth, eh?
Yeah, and look, they were the squishy ones, so like it wasn't going to hurt anybody. This wasn't like throwing batteries or like the wristbands or whatever. It wasn't going to hurt anybody to throw a squishy apple.
No, not at all. It's kind of fun, actually. I would be trying to. It's like the teddy bear toss, and you're sitting in the second row. You want to try and throw it and get somebody down below, and then hopefully they launch it over for you. But no, it was pretty cool. Did you end up getting some?
I don't have one. No, I don't. I need to get my hands on one. I have a John Carlson bobblehead though that I need to give away to someone. I do. So if you want the Carly bobblehead?
I'll try and find some first. If I can't find any, then I'll come knocking.
Yeah, I was just like, I keep asking people like, do you want this bobblehead? I mean, it was right after the Jamie Benn thing, but like he's fine, John's fine, all good. But 2 wins in a row for this team, Karl. Like, I know it's the ebbs and flows of the season. We're recording this a few hours before the Carolina game, but what do you make of kind of how this team is playing right now? Connor McMichael, our guest Connor McMichael at center, and just how they've looked even with Nick Dowd and TJ Oshie out for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been so up and down. I think they want a little bit more consistency. I think everybody would like to see a little more consistency, especially this time of the year. Like, you want to start stringing a few wins together, and two wins together isn't enough. No. Like there's been some good games, some bad games. There's been a lot of 4-3 games. Just like I think like what is it? 3 of the last 5 games have been 4-3, which is kind of funny. But yeah, you just need to see a little bit more consistency. It's nice to see Ovi scoring as much as he is though, because that's kind of what's getting the people all fired up. So that is a bonus. But yeah, this time of year, like, I know it's been a struggle and trying to make everybody kind of fit into their lines and grow some chemistry. But yeah, it should be more like 3 wins, 1 loss, 4 wins, 1 loss instead of 2-2-2-2 or whatever it's been.
Yeah, and it's almost like Peter Laviolette has an embarrassment of riches now. If Connor McMichael can play center in the NHL, like what do you do in playoff time? And it might mean Connor coming out of the lineup because you want to play Backstrom, Kuznetsov, Eller, and Dowd. But you now know that if you have an injury to one of those 4 guys, Connor McMichael can play there.
Well, yeah, and it's going to happen, right? It's the teams that go through playoffs that have no injuries usually are the ones that end up winning, or at least going to the end. It seems like. So if you can get through it without having those injuries, then great. But yeah, you need to have as much as possible, and that's a position. I guess it's kind of a position that you can switch in and out when you have to, depending on who's going and and even the team you're playing, sometimes you do see
Sure.
that where a coach will switch out someone on the third or fourth line or whatever, just for some momentum or different looks, someone with more speed or more size, or whatever it is. So yeah, it's something that it's nice to have, and that's kind of what you're hoping for. And we said it would have been nice to have something extra on the back end, but at least you got it up front.
Yeah, and Brian McClellan mentioned this. Like, if Vanacek stays healthy, if the top six on defense stays healthy, this team can do a lot. If one of those guys on the back end gets hurt and you don't have the top six, then it's going to get a little dicey.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But it's something interesting. I didn't talk to you about this before, but I got a question on Twitter. Somebody finally asked me, I've had it a lot, but I guess it seems so normal to me. But they asked, how do players know when to change on the ice? And like the changing on the fly thing is, I guess it's a big thing. This guy actually thought that maybe we had earpieces in, and that the coach would yell and say, "Hey, time to get off the ice."
It's amazing how little of that there is, actually. There's none of that.
So that was the other thing too. I'm like, why don't every line, they have earpieces with their line mates. Every D partner has it with their D partner. Like, that'd be kind of an interesting thing to have, so that you can give them a heads up and let them know where you are. Like, imagine all the no look passes that would happen. It would be kind of sweet.
I like it without it, because I almost feel like too much technology and too much data it takes the fun out of it. Like, it is fun. And I know this is not a good memory for you guys, but it was a bad change that led to the Lightning game-winning goal in that series in 2011 overtime. And it was just somebody changed wrong. I think it was Roman Hammerlick, maybe, who got like he changed at the wrong time, opened the door. Like, mistakes is like, we watch sports and so many of the rule changes, like the no changes after ice, no line changes after icing and everything, is designed for making guys tired to make mistakes, right? That's part of the human element of the game to me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You do want those mistakes. I guess it would be an interesting way to game it. Like, I'm always thinking of a way to win. You're always looking for that extra edge of like, if we could put a headset in and talk to your partner, that would be kind of sweet. But to get back to that line change thing, I guess it'd be interesting, nice to mention it for anybody who is curious. Just the way that line changes work is it's simple as you're supposed to be out there for between 30 and 45 seconds. It's kind of the
OV's like a minute and 15, but go on.
Yes, his time is in what is it, rubles? What are they using?
Yes.
It's a few extra.
The exchange rate on Alex Ovechkin's shift time to you guys, a little different.
Exactly. So yeah, ideally 30 to 45 seconds. Like, you're supposed to be going as hard as you can, and at that point is when you start getting a little winded. You're also changing depending on where the puck is in play. If you've played in the offensive zone and then you've played in the defensive zone and then you have a chance to go offensive, you're kind of weighing your options there. You don't want to get stuck in another transition. Right. So maybe you change. You're also changing because you've seen your line mates change. Or another thing is for matchups, which people don't always realize. There was lots of times where I know I would take 20-second shifts because I would get out there maybe a little bit late and my matchup would change and you just get off the ice. So a lot of times the key is you want to keep your average under 45 seconds, because occasionally your coach will come in between periods and rip everybody who's over 45 seconds. So if you can add in a few 5-second shifts every now and then, just get out there for a face-off and change. That's always a nice thing. But there's a lot of things that go into a line change, and you just kind of know it. Occasionally your coach will yell at you when you're on the ice too, and you'll get a stick tap or something like that from the bench. So yeah, I guess it's one of those things that I never really thought of, but it's maybe hard to understand.
It's a lot of yelling. It really just actually is just a lot of yelling half the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and like you said, with the bad change with if it was Hammer, you have to change in the right position. Like, guys sometimes are just like, yeah, I'm tired, I'm coming off right now, and next thing you know, a puck's turned over, or a forward doesn't get a puck in because there's maybe a little bit, there isn't enough awareness of how long his defense partners have been out there for, and instead of going hard dump, they just kind of flip it in and it gets knocked down, and next thing you know, you have an odd man rush or something like that. So yeah, it's one of the little quirks of the game that need to get better. And some coaches, to be honest, they don't give you the line combinations or who's up next quick enough. And if someone doesn't just jump, or two guys decide to jump, next thing you know, you got too many men. So yeah, I guess it is one of the interesting things with hockey.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how it's just literally like Peter, like Kevin McCarthy or whatever will just tap TJ on the shoulder. You guys are going next, like, and it's just and then there's so much science and thought that goes into it to where when it comes down to it, it's just okay. You're going now. That's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if TJ feels a tap, you only have to tap one guy. Then TJ will yell out, I have, whoever he's going to take. Say, I don't even know. Say I got Tom. And then his line mates know, okay, TJ's going, I'm going too. And then they'll say, okay, I got so-and-so or whatever. And next thing you know, they come off, someone yells right, and the right wing jumps over the boards. That's all it is. Or even teams will do it so that you always want your, whoever's going to the far side. So if the left side of the ice is the far side, the left defenseman will always jump first, just so you can get over there and then switch. So yeah, I guess there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes, and it'd be fun actually just to at some point do just I guess the rules of hockey. Someone can write in if everyone wants to write in on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it is.
Yeah, what questions do you have? Right.
Yeah, rule explanations. We'll try and help you out and explain something if we can.
How much of a difference also is the long change? Like when you're hemmed in your zone and your bench is at the other side, that makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, it really does. That's when you have to be extra careful, especially as a forward too, to make sure that those pucks are getting in, and the forwards can kind of change when the puck is coming into the D zone. It's a little less risky than as if a defenseman is. So usually you'll see one winger will stay on the far side and just try and stop any quick ups. If you play against a goalie that can play the puck, I remember a Ben Bishop or a Mike Smith or Braden Holtby, those guys that can get the puck and fire it right away. You always got to keep a guy on that side and try and let your defenseman change. And then you get everybody out fresh, and then that winger can change a little bit later. So yeah, that is a real thing. And it's something you do in your pre-scout when you know a goalie that can play the puck.
Do you know what your average shift time was throughout your career? I'm trying to, I can't find it. I will look it up after we're done here.
Throughout my career, I'm not positive, but I was usually always under 50. Kind of like I said, 30 to 45 is ideal, but you have to be under 50. And so I think if I had to guess, I'd probably 46 to 47 seconds is where I'd like to hover. But sometimes you get stuck out. Like if you play special teams, you get stuck out on the PK and it kind of drives it up a little bit. So yeah, that's ideal. But if you're going hard, you can't be out there for more than 45 seconds. If you're in your D zone or whatever, that was probably one of the things that bugs me a little bit too about some of the advanced stats is could you go out there and you finally work so hard to get the puck out of your D zone? Could I go out there and finish this play off offensively and maybe get a shot on that or be a part of a play? I could, but I'd be gassed on the way back. So I'm not going to risk it. Right. So maybe I get off. I remember it happened a lot. My first year in Montreal, we had a young guy, Victor Mete, who I would change for him all the time. We're both lefties. I'd play in the D zone. I'd come off, meet would go on just as we'd be scoring or something like that. And he would come back to the bench to try and give me the plus. And I'd be like, dude, it all works itself out in the end. We should be okay. And I think he got probably, between 5 and 10 extra pluses that year, just from us changing, me and him doing the exchange. So it's just one of those weird stats and weird thing that's happened.
The unfortunate part is Claude Julien and JJ Daniel actually paid attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they paid attention to, honestly.
Fair enough.
There's funny, hold on. Well, I gotta tell you this before you go. Okay. Before you go, why not? I have to say this. We had one guy, Brett Lernout, who's from Winnipeg, but spoke French. And we were on the bench the one time, and he had just got called up. And Claude was saying something in French to JJ. And it was, I'm sure, in fact, I'm positive he was chirping the D. And he came down to say something in French, and then Brett Lernout, he was listening, and he could hear JJ say, "Hey, this one speaks French, so don't do that." And then next thing you know, it didn't happen anymore when Lerny was on the bench because we always knew what was going on.
So they were shit talking you in French because you did to you guys because they thought you didn't speak French.
Exactly. Yeah. Good times, eh?
Oh, I'm sure you have way more of those stories too.
Oh yeah, there's lots.
When we do our bottle kill episode at some point, we'll be telling some of those stories.
Yes,
stay tuned for that one. When we come back on All's Caps, we'll have Bleacher Report and Elite Prospects Abbey Mastrocco.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. With LinkedIn becoming #1 in B2B display advertising in the US, you've got a great advantage. With their tools, you can stand out against your competitors while nurturing customer relationships and growing your brand. So scale your marketing and grow your business with LinkedIn advertising. As a thank you to their customers for helping them grow 3 times faster than the competition, LinkedIn is offering a $100 credit on your next campaign. Just go to linkedin.com/marketing.
This episode is brought to you by Jackson Hewitt. This year, there's more at stake with your taxes than ever. Thousands more. New tax credits could mean a bigger refund. And Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros are here to help you track down every last credit. Credits for having a baby, going back to school, caring for a parent, and even becoming self-employed. Get credit for all you do, and you could discover thousands of dollars in new tax credits. Schedule an appointment with a tax pro and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Welcome back to All Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, and happy to be joined by Bleacher Report and Elite Prospects Abbey Mastrocco. And congratulations, Abbey is wearing her Kansas hoodie as we speak right now. Congratulations to your Kansas Jayhawks on not choking in the Elite Eight and getting to the Final Four.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It's about time they're back in the Final Four.
And this is a ridiculous Final Four. We were just talking. I'm going to New Orleans for taking a couple vacation days to just kind of soak up the atmosphere. Mike Mastracco from the Hurricanes just gave me a list of places to go in New Orleans. This weekend's going to be insane, right?
It's 4 blue bloods. I mean, these are 4 of the elites in college basketball. So you're going to have some pretty crazy fans. That's for sure. I mean, Philly, Kansas, the Carolinas, you got that Duke North Carolina rivalry. It's in New Orleans, of all places too. I mean, it's not like sports writers like to party or anything it's not like college basketball coaches like to party or anything like that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Karl.
I was going to say, wasn't everybody all fired up because the last game UNC and Duke played was supposed to be the last game that they played with?
Yes.
With Coach K.
Yeah, with Coach K. Now they have another one. So
yeah.
Everybody can get one more in them if possible.
Abby, I think if your Kansas Jayhawks pull this off, I'm second place in our bracket pool. So I'm okay with that. Karl, who you got? UNC, Duke, Nova, or Kansas?
I mean, I got to go with UNC because of our friend Pace Sagaster. I mean,
oh yeah,
he'd be pissed if I didn't say that. Although I did start out as a Duke fan because I had chickenpox back in grade 6 or grade 7, and I watched an entire tournament and Duke won that year. And so I remember thinking, yeah, Duke's my team. And then I got my first ever UNC jersey, probably a year or 2 after that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm switching. So I'm a UNC guy now. So that's who I'm cheering for.
Thank you for reminding me to text Pace and ask him if he's going to be in New Orleans because I'm a bad influence. So just add somebody else. To the
Never.
Are you really? Why no? I didn't know that. Good to know.
Were we not together the one night at World of Beer? You know, you can be a bad influence and I can be a bad influence.
That's usually a good partnership, or it's bad for everybody else that's around. I usually try and I would like to say I'm a pretty responsible drinker when I'm out. And I know what my limits are, and I know when to start pushing everything to somebody else instead of doing it myself. My wife hates me for that, but hey, you got to be smart about it. You don't want to overdo it. So we'll see if we can drag someone under with us one time.
Yeah, Abby and I have had a few 4 a.m. near the Madison Square Garden nights. A few of those.
Oh, R.I.P. Foley's. Foley's was the greatest.
No, you know what? I think our best night, and this was recent. This was the Hurricane night in Tampa. It was the Cup Finals in Tampa. The Hurricane's coming, and it's a bunch of us at a bar not far from the hotel until the storm really starts. And I think Abby and I basically were waiting out the hurricane, drinking in the hotel lobby, watching the doors blow open. And we had 7,000 beers at that point, I think, over under.
Yeah. And Frank Saravalli got lost in the hotel.
Oh, Frank was 8 margaritas in, I think. At that, I don't think he's going to mind me saying that. And
but to his credit, that hotel was a little bit confusing.
It was.
And it's an old federal courthouse that they turned into a hotel, which was great because they said it was hurricane proof.
It was the safest hotel in Tampa.
Yeah, they said it was the safest place downtown, so we got everyone else to stay there. But Frank had put his phone in his pocket and he was playing music, and we kept listening to see okay, Frank sort of found his way back. No, the music's getting louder again. Frank's wandering back over this way. Frank was legitimately lost for 20 minutes in this hotel. But I think everybody got lost in that hotel.
Probably. We will have Frank on at some point, and he can tell his side of the story.
Amazing. He needs to defend.
So just hockey stuff, just more job stuff. How are you kind of doing this delicate balance? I know you do some baseball stuff as well, but between hockey for elite prospects, hockey for Bleacher Report, how are you kind of handling the balance of all that in hockey season now that baseball's gone?
The lockout was somewhat good for me because I didn't do any baseball for a couple months at all. Like, I was having to pay attention, obviously, and follow it. I have been helping out with a podcast here and there called Locked On Yankees, but I'm not, doing it like full time by any means. So the lockout was like, it was frustrating because just watching baseball continually shoot itself in the foot.
Yep.
It's frustrating. It's and I had players and I had scouts that were texting me and in touch with me being like, hearing their frustration and hearing this is the sport that they love. This is a sport that a lot of us love. And just watching, these rich old men in charge sort of telling us that they don't have any money and we see the sport going downhill. It was scary to see. Like, baseball could be relegated to a niche sport, and it could have been had the lockout not lifted. If baseball was still locked out, the sport would really be facing the barrel of a gun right now. It saved itself at 0 hour, didn't prevent anybody from tanking, but I don't think anybody was under any pretenses that new CBA would in fact prevent tanking. So I was able to focus pretty much on hockey for a few months, which was different. I haven't done that since I was a beat writer a couple years ago. And even then I still balanced baseball. I was doing baseball columns for the Bergen Record when I was on the Devils beat. So in the summer, it'll be easier. I'll just jump on baseball. But for now, it's like I watch hockey most of the time, every night. A few nights a week I set aside to do the West Coast games because I know I'm going to stay up later. I know I'll watch the West Coast games. I'll sort of like circle a few that I really need to see, a few teams that I really want to watch, and base my my morning meetings and stuff on when I can get around to watching West Coast games. And then once opening day starts, I'll be out at Yankees opening day, Mets opening day. I'll see the Tom Seaver statue, and next week I'll be pretty busy writing a few more. But then it's going to be mostly hockey until the end of the Stanley Cup final and the end of the draft. And I'll jump
Montreal, of course.
Montreal, that'll be a fun one. So it's definitely it's a lot to follow. It's 60 something teams that I have to follow. And I'm not always, I drop the ball sometimes on it. I can't say that I know what's going on with the Cincinnati Reds. Why would you? They're tanking. I know that much. But I'm probably not going to watch a Kansas City Royals, Detroit Tigers April game. I'm going to try and follow some of the ones that might have more of a chance to make some noise. And
I'd be worried about you if you did.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned.
Yeah. So it's a lot to balance, but every time somebody has told me to pick a lane with the two sports, I don't because I don't think I have to. And I like sort of having one foot in both sports, and sure. I've got a primary focus right now, which is the NHL, but I can still sort of be in that baseball world, and I like it that way.
Yeah. I was going to say, Abby, I was looking at some of the articles that you've done in the past. And what I like is there's some specialty ones. I was reading the one that you have on the Winter Classic dream locations and stuff. And anybody who hasn't read it yet needs to read it because it just brings up so many thoughts. And I was thinking this just the other day too, how unbelievable a National Mall Caps Pens game would be. They did the Tahoe one with no fans, and it was just aired. I feel like that could be done on the National Mall. That would just be it's just the epic picture, same thing when the Caps won the cup and you get the epic pictures of the Capitol building in the background. That to me would be so sweet. But of all those ones, Abby, which one did you think would be the most intriguing or the best scene in your opinion?
I love Banff. I love Lake Louise. And I didn't grow up playing pond hockey. I grew up in California. So working in hockey now and visiting, places like Alberta and British Columbia, and even people in Winnipeg are so welcoming. And it's just such a different scene than what I was used to. I came up covering hockey in Southern California. That's so different. So I love going to these outdoor games now and getting sort of a different experience than one that things that I never experienced growing up on the West Coast. And I just have, every time I'm in Alberta, I make it a point to go to Banff and Lake Louise. And I would love to see a game staged somewhere in that region. I mean, I don't know that you can actually do it like on the lake for safety reasons, but somewhere near there, I just think like somewhere in the Rockies would be such a great visual, because the Winter Classic and these outdoor games really are about the visual. You've got to consider the TV aspect. Yeah, there's the fan. Tahoe was sort of a money dump. They needed a way to do like social distance, but you could bring in risers somehow, and it might be a smaller crowd, but it's about TV visuals. And I think somewhere in the Canadian Rockies like that would be spectacular.
Karl, you know that Ted Leonsis has done focus studies on trying to do the National Mall game. He's done this like long ago, back before you guys played the Nats Park game. He wanted to do the National Mall, but now that we have a blueprint from Tahoe, I actually think it can happen.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that would be, and as you said, Abby, like just bring in some bleachers, and okay, so maybe you have to raise the price of some of the tickets in order to, balance some of the costs, but I don't think you have to worry nearly as much about the rink maintenance when it's on a pond, So you cut down on some of the stuff that they have to do to set up a baseball field rink or a football field rink, because you have ice right there. But yeah, just logistically, I mean, I think it needs to happen. Like I think the players would love it. I think they would sign on that. And you can still get all the sponsorship stuff that you need to get done. It, like you said, it's just about the visual, and that's what people will go back to for years if they can get it done. So I think that would be really cool. I love the mall. But the other one that really intrigued me was Alcatraz.
Yeah,
like that would be wild too. I don't know how the heck they would do that exactly, but let's get a jail. Maybe the two baddest teams in the NHL to go play in Alcatraz would be sweet. The
two with the most penalty minutes.
The highest penalized teams would get to go. Yes, I think that would be awesome. Mandatory couple fights too. It'd be imagine the penalty box too if it had like jail cell bars.
Bars,
it'd be amazing, right?
That's such a great idea. Yeah, you got to put bars on the penalty box.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, I just like that. I like that you do that with the articles. I think I'd assume it's kind of fun because you get to think outside the box with that. And just like the Ovi one, like that's, if I was ever to do, what you guys do, I would love to have that option, being able to go out there and do you find that it's more fun doing stories like that?
Yeah, it's been a good challenge to do like more like features and enterprise, because for the last decade I was just doing games. I was doing deadline game stories. I was doing notebooks, morning skate lineups. And, it does keep you focused and engaged, and like you learn a lot doing it that way. But this has been a really good challenge to think outside the box and find some different stories, but then also like learn how to report some of these different stories. The like one that stands out that I did last year, I did a story on Gritty. Like
I saw that.
I'm sure Lino will like that one, but COVID access has been so difficult. Every team has different access rules right now, which can be challenging. Some teams are still all on Zoom, some teams aren't. So I was trying to think like, how can I even like go outside the rink for a story like this? And I don't know how. My editor and I were just talking, and it was like, what if we just did a story on Gritty? Everybody loves Gritty. And I don't think I even had an angle. I was just talking to people within the Flyers organization, and I was like, what makes him special? What makes him weird? And what was like sort of what is the reaction that you guys get about Gritty? And I don't even know how the story came together, but it did. Like I don't know that I even had a focus, but I was intrigued by social distance Gritty. So
and you did the story and talked to Karl for this story about Alex Ovechkin that they promoted on the broadcast, and every story has its challenges, but how did that one all come together for you?
We wanted to write something. Ovi was in the news with the chase for Gretzky's record. He'd been scoring a lot. He was named captain of the Metro team, so we felt like we needed to do something. And I'm lucky enough to work for some really great editors who sort of just trust that I'm going to find an angle and get it. And I had just sort of like free reign to do whatever I wanted on OV. And I went to DC for a few days, spent a few days around his teammates, talking to some fans, talking to you, Karl, and so former teammates. And I talked to George McPhee, and I was talking to a lot of people about just what it's like to be around him and his presence, because he's such a different figure in hockey. He's not your typical captain, he's his own person, and he's his own personality, and he has his own leadership. So I didn't really have, I think I went down, and my intention was to find what's behind this chase, like what's driving him. And in the end, I got a lot of really good stories from people. And I think they did speak to sort of his competitive nature and how much he still loves hockey. And ultimately, that's kind of what's still driving him.
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like it's so interesting because, I think it's part of the Russian culture is legacy, right? Too. Like you want to leave something behind. And I think what your line was, like the unbreakable record, right? Like there's very few records that we think of as unbreakable, and that being one of them. And if you have an opportunity and you still love the game and still able to play like this, it's so exciting to have a shot at something like that. And I just think that it's one of the neat things that, at some point we all will kind of sit back and think, wow, it was pretty sweet to cover that, or pretty sweet to be around and involved when that happens. And just to go and just touch on the leadership, his leadership style. I feel like his leadership style is maybe a little bit more common now than say Chris Clark before him. Like those guys are complete opposite leaders, complete opposite roles on the team. And I feel like him being captain is kind of the start of maybe a bit of a shift, because there's been some guys that obviously are great leaders, Jonathan Toews, Sidney Crosby, but then there's been some other guys that have been kind of thrust into that role who maybe haven't quite fit the bill like some other ones. And so, it's kind of neat to get everybody's opinion on it. And, I'm not sure if any of those opinions really stuck out to you, but it'd be neat to hear what everybody says.
Well, that's where he's so impactful, because he is sort of like ushering in this new era of captains, and I think it was Tom Wilson. He was just so in awe of like OV and his demeanor, and like he just had such great things to say about what it's like to be around OV, and like how just his influence like affects the locker room. And like I remember way back in 2008, I was covering the US Open at Torrey Pines, right? It was Tiger and Rocco's Monday round.
Yep.
And I remember when Tiger walked into the media room after that, they didn't announce it. He walked in early. Everybody just slowly turns and like sees him. And I just watch everyone's head turning at the same time. And it's that presence that you just sort of like, it's like magnetic. You feel it when he's in the room. Not everybody sees that on a TV broadcast. Not everybody even sees that from the stands. So that's something that I've always tried to like capture when it comes to people like Alex Ovechkin, who has such a different presence that not everybody understands unless you're around it. So how can I get the fans to see, have some insight into what it's like to be around him in the locker room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Karl, I don't know if this is, I don't know when this shift happened, but I remember when I covered you guys daily, it was almost like guys got tired of being asked about OV and would get a little salty about it. There's one particular former teammate of yours, I know that I don't want to single him out, but it's like, if someone walked up to him who didn't know and was like, can you talk about Alex Ovechkin? He would just do this sigh and be like, yeah, okay, fine. But now it feels like people
love talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, winning the Stanley Cup obviously does that, but it seems like there's almost been like a reverence around Alex now, that teammates are eager to talk about him and his evolution and how much of a leader he is, right?
Yeah, well, I think there was a shift the year they won the Cup. Even halfway through that year, I think there was a shift where it was like, let's not go down this road again. Because I know the regular season that year wasn't going according to plan. I know some of the guys were a little upset with how they were performing, how things were just around the rink, and then all of a sudden something clicked and it worked. And we saw what he did on the ice. Blocking shots, the back checking, just being in all the right areas. And I don't know exactly what was going on in the room in between periods and stuff, but there was something different. And that's what they all said too, because I just remember clearly. I go back to this moment. It was the season before, season before, I think, where we were playing Pittsburgh, and there was one play in particular where Sid just back checked 200 feet, killed a play in front of their own net, came back, and then ended up tapping one in back door to score a goal. And I remember just thinking, like, holy smokes, like, this guy is a different player. He's already good in the regular season, but he is a different player in the playoffs. And I remember just thinking, like, man, that's the next level right there. Like, when you can turn something on and be that effective. And I think that's what Ovi did the next year, because
For sure.
He was a monster. Like, it was watching him play. I remember tapping Mandy. We're watching one of the games. And I'm like, do you see what he's doing out there? Like, this guy he's taking over this playoffs right now. Him and Kuzi were taking it over. And you just need to have something click all of a sudden. And I think that he had a shift. Whether or not he actually did it, it seemed like it. And I don't know if that was something that people talked to him about or what it was. But yeah, it was pretty clear to me, at least.
Yeah, and I had a vote in that for the Conn Smythe that year, and I know Kuznetsov was leading scorer. To me, it was Alex Ovechkin who was driving the bus during that playoff run. When we come back on All's Caps with Abbey Mastrocco, she will be the latest victim of Karl's stupid question.
This episode is brought to you by Seventh Generation. New York, did you know that climate pollution costs the state $27.5 billion every year? That isn't some national number, but a direct impact on your well-being. Climate pollution impacts all of us, our health, our communities, and our livelihoods. But it's not too late to change course. As you hear this, a $15 billion investment sits on the table of Albany's legislators. This is an opportunity to transition New York into a regenerative economy and invest in you, in us. It's vital help for communities hit hardest, with improvements in infrastructure and a more stable grid. It's a commitment to a future-fit labor force with job retraining and greater benefits. And it's money back in your pockets through lower energy costs and direct support for low to moderate income households. Tell Albany today. Invest in New York. Invest in us for future generations. To find out more, visit seventhgeneration.com/climate.
This is an ad for Roundup for Lawns. It kills weeds down to the root without harming your lawn. It works on crabgrass, dandelions, clover. It works on weeds with names you can't even pronounce. It's Roundup for Lawns. When used as directed, always read and follow pesticide label directions.
Welcome back to All's Caps. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and elite prospect and Bleacher Report's Abbey Mastrocco. And now for Karl's favorite portion of the show, Karl's stupid questions.
Yes, here we go. Okay, so we quickly went over what how this game works, so I don't have to do it again, and everyone listening should know at this point. Okay, so 6 questions. We're going to start off with this one right here. Do you know what the latest you've ever had to stay up before to meet a deadline?
To meet a deadline?
Yeah.
I was at Yankee Stadium until 4:30 in the morning during the playoffs in 2017 because my editor threw 2 other stories on me and it just blew up our entire content plan that we had arranged with like our 2 other writers and our columnists. And the 2 writers had to go get flights early in the morning. I was staying in New York. I was not traveling with the Yankees, and I was at Yankee Stadium until 4:30 in the morning. And it was really bad because I was covering the Mets at the time. The next day, I had to go stake out the Omni Hotel because the Mets were interviewing Alex Cora for their managerial position. So I went back to my apartment in downtown Manhattan. I put my stuff down. I took like an hour nap. I showered. I went to the Omni, and I got like nothing. Like I saw the owners and I saw Alex Cora and they wouldn't comment. And I was like, great. Tired.
But you put the effort in though. So
yeah.
they don't kick you out of the stadium at 4:30 in the morning.
The security guard just felt bad for me.
Oh, really?
My editor was so mean.
Oh, that's too bad.
Were you the
everybody knows who this editor is. A lot of people know who he is in the industry. It's fine. I don't work for him anymore. It's okay. There's, maybe there's mutual respect. Maybe there's not. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't respect me, but
look, this is a podcast of crushing your editor. This is a podcast where we crush people who are bad to us, whether that's former coaches, former bosses. If you're bad to us, we will crush you.
People know who he is. He's well known in the industry and I don't work for him anymore. And I have nothing but good things to say about the people that I work for now. I'm very lucky to work for who I work for now.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. All right. Okay. What's your favorite meal of the day? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast.
Okay,
I'm a
perfect.
big
And
breakfast person.
what's your ideal breakfast then?
This my West Coast is showing here, but a breakfast burrito.
Oh, breakfast burrito. Actually,
Yeah.
those are pretty popular at our house
Are you
too.
are you a brunch person?
Oh yeah.
Just had a lovely brunch yesterday with Sam Pell and Sarah Sivian. Unconventional diner. The next time you're in DC, great spot for brunch.
Nice.
What
Yes.
do you put
big
on the
brunch.
breakfast burrito?
What do I put on a breakfast burrito? Okay, so my college boyfriend's grandma taught me how to make refried black beans like Chipotle black beans a long time ago. And I make them like every week, and even my roommates will eat them too. So I put black beans, scrambled eggs, usually some peppers and onions, maybe some potatoes if I have them, cheese and hot sauce, Tapatio, gotta go Tapatio, avocado. So it's a loaded burrito there. But I do this on most mornings.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was curious if you went hot sauce on there, because that's a couple extra points. So,
Tapatio. I carry Tapatio packets with me when I travel.
well played. You know what? It's funny that it makes me think that one of the nice things about, I think, carrying a purse for women is what you can carry with you. And my mom was always so funny because she had everything in her purse. Like, I remember one time after a hockey tournament, I was so hungry, and I said that to her. She's like, "Oh, dig in her purse," and she had a chicken finger, just one chicken finger in her purse. I'm like, "Oh, sweet. I mean, it'd be nice to have like ketchup or something." She's like, "Oh, I got ketchup." Pulls out ketchup, knife and fork, everything. I'm like, man, I wish I could carry around stuff like that, but hot sauce would be something I would carry with me. So good answer.
Abby knows this, Carl, but our buddy Scott Burnside wears a Merce, he has a bag like that, and we make fun of him constantly for it.
But he loves that thing.
He loves it.
Hey, it's convenient when you have that extra space to put stuff. I'll say that. Okay, Abby, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Spain.
Really?
Where in Spain?
I really liked Madrid. I mean, Barcelona was cool. I know everybody says Barcelona, but I like Madrid was like more my vibe. I just I'm not a morning person. They stay out all night. They have they actually have like a balance. They don't burn themselves out. Like the pace and like the work-life balance is amazing out there. Like when I was there for 2 weeks a couple years ago, and I came back right for the start of Devil's training camp, and I had like an existential crisis. I was like, what am I doing? I'm about to work for the next 3 months straight without a day off. And here people are like, let me take like a leisurely 2-hour lunch. I don't even get up until 10, 11 a.m. Like I stayed out all night. Like it's just, they actually they really enjoy their lives. And I'm also not a morning person, and they don't like mornings either. So plus the food's great, and I enjoy going out all night.
Yeah, I think
like your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's got to be fairly common for people when they get over there and they realize how great they have. Like you said, people just enjoy themselves, and then they come back and their brain just revs up again. I think it's something that everyone needs to kind of experience is to go out there and just live the way they do, like immerse yourself in the culture, because it's kind of nice. So good answer. Karaoke song. What is your karaoke song of choice?
Okay, this is a good one because I very much enjoy karaoke. One time I nailed every word to Gin and Juice. That'll never happen again. I don't think that'll ever happen again.
Can we find out?
I think that was like a one time, I had just the right amount of drinks in me.
Just the right amount of gin and juice in you to get it.
Yeah. Otherwise I sing, this is again, California. I went to college in Long Beach, Sublime. What's another crowd pleaser that I've requested? Oasis, Wonderwall.
Oh, that's
Wonderwall,
good.
yes. Because everybody sings it.
Yep, everybody sings it. That's the key to karaoke. I feel bad for the bartenders because they're hearing the same 20 songs over and over again every night. But for the crowd there, it's a great time. Everyone's singing along.
Were you at that 19th final, Abby, the karaoke night in Boston?
No, I switched back to the Mets for a little bit during the final in 19.
Well, another time, Carl, I'll tell the story of that night and the entire fiasco around that cup final, which was chaotic for me. Another time. I don't want to interrupt Abby's answers to your stupid questions here.
All right. Okay. Next, we'll go with: do you have a least favorite team in hockey or baseball or both?
Least favorite team. My favorite. Look, my favorite teams are the ones with the best PR staffs. So the Anaheim Ducks get the Dillman Award every year from me. Lee's favorite team, I got to go with the Dodgers because I grew up a big Giants fan. My dad's still a big Giants fan. It's become like a fun rivalry in my family because my Nana is a huge Dodger fan. She used to watch them in Brooklyn and now she's in Southern California. So, but unfortunately I side with my dad in that. And I love the San Francisco Giants and the Dodgers. I have so many friends in LA too, who like, I love to rib them about the Dodgers and their inability to create a dynasty like the Giants did.
And Dodgers fans can be insufferable. Not all Dodgers fans.
They can, and I can say that because I have so many Dodger fan friends, and I tell them that they are insufferable sometimes.
Perfect. Okay, if we're going with Dodgers. And then last one is, I need to make sure that this is stressed. You're going to be selfish with this, but you've got $1 million just handed to you. What are you going to spend it on?
That's a good question. Well, I'd probably pay off my debt. I'd give some to charity. My grandparents used to help run an orphanage in Mexico. So I would probably give a large amount to this orphanage in Tijuana or south of Tijuana. It's called the Door of Faith Orphanage. It's my grandparents' like pet project. And then I would buy a place in Spain.
I knew that's where you were going with this.
I'd buy a place in Spain. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I got to make sure I say the selfish thing because otherwise, like when I think if someone's just giving me like $1 million cash just to blow, I go like toys, like I'm getting car and watch or something like that, and then I get hit with like charity and stuff. I'm like, oh, I feel like such a bad person all of a sudden.
I mean, yeah, that's it. Like, trust me, I'm gonna buy myself some nice things, but I got to give a little bit to charity. My grandparents, like, they devoted like most of their retirement to traveling and charity, and like they've been all over the world. And I love to travel. I don't donate quite as much to charity as them. I feel like I should, but I don't have that much money. So.
All right, good. Well, it's a really great answer. Okay, now just give me 1 sec here because I need to add all this stuff into my formulation that I have. Hot sauce. Nice. Spain, Madrid. Great job. Gin and juice. Nailed it on that one. That brings you to 141 points total, which sits you comfortably in the top 10. I think you're fifth or sixth overall. And we've got how many?
We've done a lot of these.
Yeah, over 30 now. So
nice.
That's pretty darn solid. Congratulations on your score. 141 points.
Very proud of that.
Should be.
Yeah, congrats. So you're Abbey in the top 10, Kansas in the final 4. Abbey, thank you very much for joining us on All Caps.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
And for the rest of you, we will talk to you later this week.